The tension in the tennis world has just reached a boiling point, and we've seen some of the most shocking things. From the 4 ongoing tournaments, to Rafa Nadal making the headlines all week because of some things he said, and to the Azarenka-Ostapenko drama, the continued fight for equal pay, and the public outcry for better quality of life by some tennis players, and some weird things happening, here's everything that happened last week. Y'all better sit tight and get ready for an adrenaline rush, because this is going to be a wild one. In one word, last week was
unbelievable.
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 So we head over to Marseille, and what do we find? Grigor Dimitrov, playing better than ever, gets rid of Karen Khachanov in 3 sets, but Khachanov would have regretted his failure to close out the match when he had the chance. But for Dimitrov, he had his backhand to thank on multiple occasions. Here's a case in point. A 3rd final in the last 4 tournaments for the Bulgarian, he just keeps getting better. Elsewhere in the other semi-final encounter, 4th seed Ugo Humbert upset Hubi Hurkacz in straight sets to reach his 5th ATP final. Humbert wasn't just risking it for the biscuit with the haymakers of ground strokes he was dishing out. We could actually see him opening up the court with some of the sharpest angles controlling the rallies. Also, we saw Humbert giving himself a chance to defend more when necessary by adjusting his position on the baseline, putting in an incredible work rate on the run. Add that to the mental toughness he's had since last year, and we found ourselves a worthy finalist in Marseille. Another proud day for French tennis. Moving over to Dallas, we saw Tommy Paul stifling Ben Shelton's serves to win 6-2, 6-4 in just 79 minutes. Paul converted 3 of his 8 break points in the process. How did he do all that? Well, Paul focused on attacking Shelton's serves at times, and upped his return game at other points, and was able to win 44% of his return points along the way. In the other semi-final draw, Marcos Giron had to choose violence against Adrian Mannarino. His aggression was just on another level, and in the end, Mannarino could only win 4 games, 6-1, 6-3 your final score. At the Cordoba Open, we saw 2 qualifiers running the show. Facundo Bagnis beat Federico Coria. On the women's side, Karolina Pliskova and Anna Bogdan both won their matches to set up a final clash at Cluj-Napoca, while Alina Rybakina finally got her W against Samsonova in Abu Dhabi. Although the match was filled with ups and downs and changes in momentum, the ball striking between the 2 players was wonderful. 6-love, 4-6, 6-2 in favor of Rybakina. Meanwhile, Dasha Kazatkina also needed 3 sets to take out Beatriz Haddad-Maia in the other semi-final clash. Things got a little spicy off the court, however. Gael Monfils got kicked out of the Ultimate Tennis Showdown in Oslo and was replaced by Luca Pouille after a playful exchange in the locker room that led to a minor injury to the tournament supervisor on Friday. La Monf would clear the air on his social media, letting everyone know that he intended no harm, and many fans voiced their support for him. I found the whole thing weird though, just like many fans, and didn't fully understand what really went down. Elsewhere, we would see the man of 2024 keep up with his busy schedule, but this time joining La Roche-Posay as its new global advocate. Novak Djokovic then decided to break some records outside of tennis, but some fans just couldn't resist the urge to throw in some banter, saying that Jannik Sinner was also going to kick his ass at skiing. Sunday came with some real fireworks, and I don't even know where to start from. Ugo Humbert was just too good for Grigor Dimitrov, beating the Bulgarian 6-4, 6-3 in the final in Marseille. Like we revealed in our newsletter, which you should totally subscribe to by the way if you haven't already, we believe that Humbert could very well be on his way to becoming a top 10 player, as he's now hit a career high of number 18. A closer look at his game might convince you. He now shows a lot of consistency during matches and has also cut down his errors as well. For the Frenchman, it would be 5 titles in 5 ATP finals, a perfect score there. Back over in Dallas, Tommy Paul would then overcome Marcos Giron to win his first title since Stockholm 2021. Still can't believe that this is just his 2nd ATP title, but it's easy to believe that many more will follow. In the end, it was a high-quality match from both players across the 3 sets, and for Marcos Giron, who's already 30 years old, he'll be looking to take the positives from this tournament as he continues his search for a first ATP crown. In Cordoba, the final was a battle between 2 players, one ranked outside the top 130 at the time, and the other one outside the top 200. Not too often we see that happen. It was only the 3rd time since the inception of the ATP Tour in 1990 that 2 qualifiers would meet in an ATP 250 tournament final. Luciano Darderi would defeat Facundo Bagnis convincingly thanks to his clinical service games, 6-1, 6-4. It would be a first ATP title for the 22-year-old Italian, and a breakthrough to the top 100 in the ATP rankings. Another rankings breakthrough would be from Sumit Nagal, who broke into the top 100 after defeating Luca Nardi in the finals at the Challenger in Chennai. On the women's side, former world number 1 Karolina Pliskova became champion again after 4 years in Cluj-Napoca after beating Anna Bogdan in the final. It was a refreshing sight seeing her struggles over the year, going from a US Open and Wimbledon finalist to mediocre results due to injuries and a loss of form. Heading over to Abu Dhabi, Elena Rybakina would then put on a show, winning her 7th title in straightforward fashion against Dasha Kasatkina. Kasatkina would later complain about the WTA's scheduling of matches. And not just her, but Alexander Bublik as well. According to Bublik, tennis players deserve a better life. He argued that players deserve to be treated well and paid more to play less, stressing that it's already really demanding to play for 11 months in a row. It's easy to understand how players feel having to play almost the entire year, but how should that be fixed? Reducing tournaments and increasing the stakes? Maybe, or what are you thinking? Elsewhere, the tennis world wished 2 top 10 players happy birthdays. Daniil Medvedev turned 28, while Hubert Hurkacz turned 27. We wish both players success on and off the court. We then saw Novak doing some training, but not before Jannik Sinner had a hilarious moment with Sky Sports. Sinner would later reveal that he chose to focus on challengers instead of junior Grand Slams because he wanted to play opponents who were better than him, so that he could learn faster. Being a top junior wasn't a priority for him, but we all have different learning curves, don't we? Something crazy, though, happened on Monday. 18 of the top 20 women found themselves in the Doha draw for the Masters 1000 event in Qatar. Only Aryna Sabalenka's schedule change and Jessie Pegula's neck injury stopped it from being 20 out of 20. Two-time defending champion Iga Swiatek had an easy win as she started her 90th week as world number 1. Only 9 other women in history have had more weeks at the top than Iga. Crazy to think considering that she's still only 22 years old. Anyway, Karolina Pliskova, who somehow made it to court in Doha 24 hours after winning a title in Romania, played on less than 4 hours of sleep. She jumped on a flight at the last minute, and guess what? She won her opening match. Naomi Osaka got her revenge, defeating Caroline Garcia, but one of the best highlights was Garcia and the umpire's reaction when the electronic line call started to have a mind of its own. Their reaction was priceless. Victoria Azarenka and Linda Noskova both won their matches as well. Emma Raducanu, however, got dumped and was even bageled in the first set by Annalena Kalinina. Moving over to Argentina, Stan Wawrinka and 7th seed Laszlo Djere had to go through 3 sets to win their matches. 6th seed Matteo Arnaldi would then beat Nishioka at the Delray Beach Open, firing 21 aces past the Japanese player. But the highlight of the day was at the Rotterdam Open. 6 epic tiebreaks in 4 matches was nothing to sneeze at. Felix Auger-Aliassime needed 2 of those tiebreaks to take down Maxime Cressy. Talon Griekspoor also needed 2 of those to defeat Lorenzo Musetti, while Milos Raonic and David Goffin managed to get past their opponents. Off-court, Dominic Thiem received some words of encouragement from Jimmy Connors, who told him to have a look at Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic playing well in their mid-30s as an inspiration to give himself a chance to get back to his old level. Couldn't agree with Connors more, but an even bigger news was seeing the one and only Ernest Gulbis retire at the age of 35 after a year of inactivity. For those of you who don't know this guy, he was one hell of a player. Great talent, great entertainer, but just not consistent. He did beat Roger Federer, Juan Martín del Potro, Tomas Berdych, all of them multiple times. He also beat Djokovic and Andy Murray, and almost bageled Rafa Nadal on clay. And although we have no right to call him an underachiever, sometimes you could just think that he could have done more with his talent. Now, at the beginning of the video, I said there was some tension brewing up in the tennis world. Well, it all went down on Tuesday. And Wednesday. So the drama on Tuesday was off the charts. Before we even get into the whole Rafa thing, let's have a careful listen to what was said by John Wertheim on Andy Roddick's podcast.
Good sources telling me there's going to be a forthcoming announcement where the PIF, the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund, is going to be making this deal with the ATP and then presumably soon thereafter the WTA, where it's basically buying these levels of sponsorship, and one of them includes essentially buying the rights.
So essentially, what we know as the Pepperstone ATP ranking could be the PIF ATP ranking, but not just that. There's more.
This is how businesses invest. You do a little bit at a time, and they're upping their shares, or else this is sort of a clinic in sports washing. You know, Nadal comes on as an ambassador, you hold an exhibition, then you hold a next-gen event, then you hold a big boy event, and this is all sort of incremental. But yeah, apparently there will be a forthcoming announcement, maybe at Indian Wells, where we learn that this Saudi investment. This is going to be a real story in tennis, men's and women's, in 2024. But there is a big announcement coming, and part of it involves essentially taking over the rankings in addition to other sponsorship elements.
Now here's where things get interesting. Rafael Nadal said he believes Saudi Arabia has great potential, but can understand people think that he sold himself for the money. Rafa said some things needed improvement in the country, and if that doesn't happen in the next 10 to 15 years, he will tell everyone that he was completely wrong. Interestingly, Carlos Alcaraz popped up to show his support for Rafa Nadal's decision to be an ambassador for Saudi tennis, saying that there was no one better than him to do the job. As you would expect, social media went ballistic, which is why we saw tweets like this. But let's pump the brakes on the Rafa saga for now and talk about other things that went down. Still on Alcaraz, he would then say that he considered only Novak Djokovic and Jannik Sinner to be his rivals, but trusts tennis fans to come up with a clapback. Many of them were like, but Zverev has been whooping your ass back to back, and Daniil Medvedev also beat you at the US Open, so what are you talking about? Alcaraz would then comment on the Olympics, saying that if he was to choose between a Roland Garros title and an Olympic medal, he would go for the gold medal, as representing his country meant more to him. Elsewhere, the tennis world would then wish Carlitos' coach, Juan Carlos Ferrero, a happy birthday as he turned 44. Back on court, Seb Ofner, Yannick Hanfmann, and Diego Schwartzman all saw early round losses at the Argentina Open. Schwartzman then talked about being frequently sad as a result of his performances. And man, it's really sad watching the Argentine struggle with his game at the moment. From beating Nadal on clay, making Grand Slam semifinals, and being a top 10 player, to struggling to get past the first round, it must be really tough, but hopefully the 31-year-old can find his magic again. The first round continued at the Delray Beach Open, and not much to talk about there, but moving over to Rotterdam, we saw some more action. Sasha Bublik beat Borna Coric again. He must be Coric's nightmare at this point. Also, Alex de Minaur took down Seb Korda in straight sets, while Alejandro Davidovich Fokina lost a close 3-setter against Jan-Lennard Struff. Second seed Andrei Rublev had a straightforward win, but we couldn't say the same for Hurkacz against Jiří Lehečka. And I've got to admit that watching Hubie Hurkacz's games these days isn't the easiest thing in the world. I mean, the scores are just too close for comfort. Taking a look at Doha, Elena Rybakina became the first woman to win 10 sets by a scoreline of 6-love or 6-1 in 2024, with her 6-2, 6-1 win over Ju Lin. Lena's bakery is thriving, no doubt. Leylah Fernandez then beat Paula Badosa, and I'll tell you one thing guys, she isn't a one-trick pony. You can see the competitive drive in her. Osaka then won in straight sets after saving 4 set points to clinch the second set. Danielle Collins, Ostapenko, and Pliskova all won their matches, but it was yet another L for Maria Sakkari. This time, enough was enough. Something needed to change, and later we would find out on Thursday. Doha's second seed Coco Gauff saw a surprising loss at the hands of Katerina Siniakova. Well, didn't see that one coming, but Coco just hasn't been at her lethal best this season. Why is her forehand collapsing? Anyway, we saw Ons Jabeur struggle with her body once again, losing to Lesia Tsurenko. For Lesia, it would be the end to a 16-match losing streak against top 10 players. And to wrap up the day, we saw Venus Williams and Caroline Wozniacki awarded Indian Wells wildcards. Wednesday was action-packed. Jannik Sinner played his first match as a Grand Slam champion against Botic van de Zandschulp, and really it looked impossible to get anything past Sinner at times. It would be a straightforward 6-3, 6-3 win for Sinner, making it 11 consecutive wins and a 28-2 record in his last 30 matches. Our man just picked up from where he left off and is still undefeated. Mind you, he's faced Grand Slam champions, world number ones, and some of the toughest players on tour, so it's not like he's had it easy. We then saw Gael Monfils take down Denis Shapovalov, but not before he shared some of his bananas with the Canadian. Sadly, this play sums up everything for Shapo.
Oh, no way.
After uploading the We Need to Talk About Felix Auger-Aliassime video, I noticed many of you guys also requested one on Denis. So I'm gonna keep that in mind for the upcoming videos, and I couldn't be more grateful for your support and kind words. And if you have any other video ideas you want me to consider, please feel free to share them. Back in Rotterdam, Holger Rune, Grigor Dimitrov, and Alex de Minaur also sailed through their respective round of 16 clashes, but 7th seed Ugo Humbert probably had a little hangover and lost to Emil Ruusuvuori in 3 sets. Milos Raonic took down Sasha Bublik in straight sets to end Sasha's 5-match winning streak and show that he still has plenty to offer the tennis world. The Canadian has fought so hard to make his first quarterfinal after 1,199 days, and it's fully deserved. But the standout clash of the day was between Felix Auger-Aliassime and Andrei Rublev. Rublev saved 3 consecutive match points to snatch the W against Felix, and I need to remind y'all that only Sinner has beaten Rublev this year. A closer look at his game shows you that Rublev has been learning to stay calm under pressure more than he's done in the past, and it's paying off big time. But for Felix, man, being a fan must be hard right now. In Delray Beach, Alex Michelsen and Marcos Giron won their matches as expected, but 4th seed Francisco Cerundola was upset at the Argentina Open. He's been struggling all year. The Argentine will be looking to turn things around pretty soon. Meanwhile, Sebastian Baez, Dusan Lajovic, and Tomas Martin Echeverry all won their round of 16 encounters. On the women's side, we saw lots of upsets among the seeds. Number 8 seed Yelena Ostapenko was beaten by Victoria Azarenka yet again, and for the third time this year. Here's a statistical summary of the match. Not one that Ostapenko would be proud of, and we could say the same about her behavior, because what followed the scoreline was probably the worst possible exchange at the net. As you would expect, Ostapenko's unprofessionalism didn't go unnoticed, and she received a lot of backlash from fans. Her actions were outright disrespectful. Well, it would be a 150th hardcourt win for Vika and a 5-love head-to-head against Ostapenko. Crazy to think Ostapenko is 4-0 against Iga Swiatek and then 0-5 against Vika. The next upset would be Leylah Fernandez taking down 5th seed Zhang Qinwen. I told you guys, she's no fluke. 6th seed Marketa Vondrushova also couldn't make it past Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova, but then Iga Swiatek, Rybakina, Pliskova, and Danielle Collins all won their matches, while Naomi Osaka had a walkover. Off the court and back to the controversy, we saw Rafa Nadal say that he supports equal pay for women in tennis, and always has. Always? Tennis fans don't agree with you on that one, Rafa, and trust them to remember every single thing. It's why we saw images like this pop up all over social media after Rafa's comments. Nadal then admitted that he wants women to earn more than men, but only if they generate more revenue. The truth is that men's and women's tennis are two completely different things in the level of competition, and we must not fall into the trap of thinking that men and women do the same thing on the court. It's why we just uploaded a new video on the subject. Go check it out and let us know what you think. Regarding payment, tournaments need to decide on the best possible solution, and if that means equal pay across all tournaments but a little more incentive for best of 5 just for the extra effort, then probably not the worst possible situation. Still, it's an interesting debate, no doubt. Rafa then admitted that he'd prefer his son play a different sport other than tennis, but that he would support him 100% if he did choose tennis. Rafa also said that he never hated tennis, but was just tired of having a body that always gets injured. He then shared some comments about his relationship with Federer and Novak, but his words were taken out of context due to poor translation. Now, my Spanish isn't perfect, but a better translation summarizes everything that Rafa said into this. Data says Djokovic is the GOAT of men's tennis, has a better body, and that he also thinks Novak is a good person. Nadal considers Roger Federer and his family to be almost amigos. Elsewhere, Ons Jabeur met with the Palestinian national football team, who said they came to support her because she always supported their cause. Fortunately for fans, Valentine's Day brought with it some respite from the whole tension, and what better way to do that for fans than to do a wholesome Tsitsidosa quiz. But it wasn't just about the lovebirds. ATP players also revealed who they loved, and it was quite hilarious and refreshing. What a day. So it's Thursday, and we have the women's quarterfinal lineup in Doha looking like this, with 4 Grand Slam champions and 4 Grand Slam finalists. Karolina Pliskova continues her incredible form and beats Naomi Osaka 7-6, 7-6. Swiatek beats Azarenka, and Rybakina stops Leylah Fernandez. Rybakina shows her excitement as she has soccer legend Ronaldinho watching her match. Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova then beats Danielle Collins to complete the semifinal lineup. The top seed and defending champion gets off to a winning start in Buenos Aires, but Federico Coria upsets second seed Cam Norrie in 3 sets. Nico Jarry shakes off Stan Wawrinka, and Laszlo Djere loses his match. At the Delray Beach Open, Americans Taylor Fritz, Tommy Paul, and Marcos Giron all win their matches. Fritz and Alex de Minaur are now both 1 win away from overtaking Tsitsipas in the rankings, and next week could see no one-handed backhanders in the ATP top 10 for the first time in decades. Another crazy stat for your consideration there. In Rotterdam, La Monf loses to Sinner in 3 sets, and Alexander Shevchenko upsets number 3 seed Holger Rune for the second top 10 win of his career. On a side note, Shevchenko's grunts remind us of Felix Auger-Aliassime. Emil Ruusuvuori then beats Struff, while Grigor Dimitrov wins again as he continues to move better than ever this time, pulling out the splits. However, 4th seed Hubi Hurkacz loses to Talon Griekspoor. I told you guys, Hubi's matches are always too close for comfort these days. I mean, look at the scoreline. For Griekspoor, we might need to keep an eye on him because he's underrated. This guy's been making steady progress low-key. Off-court, Rafa Nadal announces his withdrawal from Doha, but eyes Indian Wells for his return. He also says that he'll announce before Roland Garros if it'll be his last year on the tour or not. But the biggest news of the day has to be the announcement of the Netflix Slam. Fans were left wondering if Rafa would even be fit for the exhibition in the first place. And finally, following her latest loss on Tuesday, Maria Sakkari and Tom Hill ended their partnership after 6 years. Hill helped Sakkari to a career high of world number 3, Grand Slam semifinals, a WTA 1000 title, and 125 consecutive weeks in the top 10, but something's gotta give at this point, just seeing her in horrendous form. The day ended on a sour note though. Karolina Muchova had to withdraw from Dubai. She still hasn't played a tournament since reaching the US Open semifinals. She'll finally fall out of the top 10 when her Dubai quarterfinalist points fall off, which is really such a shame. Krejcikova suffering a back injury and Naomi Osaka have also withdrawn from the WTA 1000 in Dubai as well. Daniil Medvedev then withdraws from Doha, and Sinner will now have a chance to overtake him if he wins Rotterdam. On a positive note, American tennis player Jenson Brooksby will be coming back earlier after seeing his suspension reduced. Friday came with something special. Jannik Sinner recorded his 200th match win on tour after Milos Raonic retired in the second set. Sinner is now the first man born in the 2000s to get to this number, which is really quite insane. Raonic had 2 set points in the first set but couldn't convert before ultimately retiring, and this is the second time the Canadian has retired this year, and we hope it's nothing too serious for now. In the other quarterfinal matches in Rotterdam, we saw Grigor Dimitrov and Talon Griekspoor both win their matches against worthy opponents before the Demon got his revenge against Andrei Rublev. Heading over to Delray Beach, Tommy Paul will take on Francis Tiafoe in the first semifinal, while Marcus Giron and Taylor Fritz would be looking to join them. On the women's side, we couldn't help but notice a fan falling over while trying to catch a ball signed by Elena Rybakina. Rybakina had no trouble dispatching Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova to book her place in the final in Doha and take her record of the year to 15-2. No other WTA player has won more matches than Rybakina this year. In the other semi-final clash we saw, oh, wait a minute, we didn't have a match because Iga Swiatek had a walkover against Karolina Pliskova, and you gotta feel for Naomi Osaka fans because Pliskova literally beat the Japanese player to give Iga a walkover, or so it seemed. But you can't blame Pliskova, can you? This lady played 9 matches in 10 days. It was expected at some point, but hopefully it's nothing too serious. On the bright side, we get to see our first Swiatek vs Rybakina final in Doha. Off the court, we saw Simona Halep sue Quantum Nutrition, the company that made the supplement that she says led to her 4-year doping ban. Halep is now seeking over $10 million in damages in addition to punitive damages from the company's negligence. While we wait for the decision on Simona Halep's appeal, we'd love to know your take on the whole situation. So while Friday was a bit low-key, following the highs from Wednesday and Thursday, it gave us some time to reflect on everything that's happened so far. But wow, what a week so far in tennis. We can't get enough of this, can we? And it's only going to get more intense in the coming weeks. Hitting the subscribe button is one guaranteed way to not miss out on any action, and if you missed out on last week's recap, don't worry because I have it showing on the screen right here for you.